So they just shut off my stream. I'm not going to do an update. Peace out. As soon as I hit the intro, the stream went down to 0 kilobytes per second and shut off on OBS. So OBS is the software I'm using. Gotcha, guys. Look, man, I'm watching. I've got people watching. I don't want you to go to jail or get in trouble. Now, if you're government, you know, we'll find out. But if you're government, you're okay, I guess. But I don't know, man. If you're in another country, I guess you're probably okay, too, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, look, I mean, at this point, I had to contact somebody, and now we're watching, trying to figure out what's going on, and, you know, shut me off when I hit the start on my thing. We're going to figure out where it's coming from, and I just don't want anybody to go to jail over me is kind of stupid. So I hope it's government, so that way at least that way nobody goes to, you know, I don't want anybody to go to jail over me. You know, it's just so pointless, you know? So, but I got the ball rolling, and there it is. So I'm giving you a heads up. You know, I'm trying. Because I hope, here's what I hope. I hope it's that it's some government agency that's doing it, and that nobody actually goes down for doing it, that they just stop. Right? Like, that would be the best. You know, the punk rock in me says, okay, you know, look, it could be somebody having fun, and they think it's all a fun and game. They don't realize they're messing with my life and a bunch of other people. Or maybe they do and they don't realize the repercussions of it. And so, anyway, there we are. Word up, much love. I'll get on at some point and do an update. You obviously know that I'm going to be doing an update today because of what's going on the West Coast. They know I'm going to be doing an update too, whoever they are. And, yeah, they're going to try and stop it or whatever. And, yeah, so... Hey, I got a question for everybody, though. Here's the question I want you to ponder while I get up the gumption to get back on here. What the heck? What the heck? What the heck happened up at the Great Lakes, guys? I just asking for a friend. I just gotta know. I guess it was just a mistake quake after the 6th. That reverberation came up there and caused one of the stations out there in the middle of the Great Lakes to pick up an earthquake. They don't have stations in the middle of the Great Lakes? Okay, so station around there picked it up, thought it was in the middle of the Great Lakes. Instead, it turned out it was down here in Colombia, you know, or Panama. Mistook the earthquake down in Panama for up in the Great Lakes. That's what it is. Never mind that whole Craton thing. Never mind the experimental explosion off the coast. Again. And certainly don't pay attention to everything else that happened over here on the West Coast. That's not related. Hey, check it out, guys. So yesterday we were talking about watching the Gulf of California because of the fracture zone that goes back over to Hawaii and then goes back up and across to Kamchatka. And up here, we had new volcanic blast in a series of 4s. And now all the way down here, following it all the way over to this side, we have 4s. So... halfway point between the two. Should come under stress, and we should see a new 4 pop off here in Hawaii in the next day or so. Since one side already moved with volcanic blast and 4s 2 days ago, one side's moving down here on the east-southeast side, and it reflects back, it goes back and forth, and that standing wave forms as it tries to escape out over to the east. And it's clearly trying to escape out over to the east. Look right in the middle, in between all the other 4s. Here, look, down to the south, 4.5, 5.2. Up to the north, 4.6, 4.0. Go back a day before that, and we got another set of 4s marked in pink right there. Okay, so the new 6 has come in at the halfway point between this cluster of 4s. Oh, and by the way, multiple volcanic blasts on both sides. So Popocatépetl and Fuego both going here where our letter V's are. And down here, Nevado del Ruiz volcano in Colombia. Sanjay and Reventador in Ecuador. So volcanoes going on both sides, 4s on one side, 4s and a 5 on the other, and in between the two, the 6 breaks. Now that's right next to our little red arrows that are so hard to see because there's so many rings on the map there. There we go. So the little red arrows point over to the east, over across Venezuela, over to the east side of the Caribbean. I've got a warning going up here for near 5.0 level activity to be returning back into Puerto Rico. Guess what hit this morning? 4.4. Is that two separate quakes? Hold on. No, 4:45. Yeah, two different quakes an hour apart. Take them and add them together, it equals 4.52. And we warned for 5-ish to be coming in, even to upper 5. So it's 4.5. If I'm looking for 5 to upper 5, we're still missing a magnitude in here somewhere. And let's see, we should be seeing it come in pretty soon. I would think in the next few days we should see the additional magnitude come in, and that would put us back up to 5. Now the spot might be slightly different now that the 4s have hit right in the middle of our warned area. 2 4s hit right here on the southwest side of the island. All that does is slightly shift the area over to the east. You see where the rings overlap now? So where the rings overlap over here on the east side is where I'd watch first. And then the secondary warned location, of course, is where the rings overlap on the west side. That's Dominican Republic. But I would think on the east side because this 6 is down to the south, and it's going to be coming over to the east. Pressure on the east side. Here, let's get over here and show it to you on the USGS plate boundary map. Pressure on the east side. Wait, do I have my display capture turned on? Dang. No display capture that long. Wow, I got along that long without needing a display capture. So over here on the east side of the Caribbean is where I'm talking about. The 6 is down here to the south, and it should prefer over to the east. And, of course, now the northeast side, or the north side, is the spot that should break in between the sets of current quakes. South America, nothing new to really add in here except for 4s across Peru, right down next to the erupting volcano at Sabancaya, and something new coming across. Now, let me show it to you this way. Going over to the east, you see the Underseamount Ridge, or ridges made of underseamount volcanoes, and it goes in a crescent shape and goes up into South Peru, where Sabancaya volcano is, over here on the east side. Now we can follow this back in a crescent shape, and look where it goes back to. It goes right back up to the Hawaiian island chain. And on one side, Tamu Massif. On the other side, Hawaii and Mauna Loa. About the same distance apart, wouldn't you say, where this is the center point. Now that goes back up to the north and connects right back into the spot where it feeds the energy in. So energy has gone down and around this way. Energy has gone down and across Hawaii and over to Mexico this way. So the middle of the Pacific is where we're going to see this break take place. That's somewhere in the 4-ish to near 5 range. And again, that's back to Hawaii. I just wanted to point that out. We're going down across this way as well. Now, over here at the tail end in South America, where it goes back into Peru, you'll notice all the rings overlap there, just next to Sabancaya volcano. We don't have any earthquake activity there of any size to report. Again, there's stuff to the north, the 6 and the 5, and down to the south, eruptions and 4s. So in between, I'm going to tell you, South Peru will likely break with something bigger than what's coming across. So 5.1 is coming across. That means 5.5 to 5.9, near 6. Maybe somewhere even in the same size as the 6.1. I mean, if I'm off by 0.1, don't fault me too hard. Don't fault me. Get it? Okay. Let's talk about New Zealand. New Zealand, guys, check it out. Cook Strait. Look at that. So all of a sudden it starts to move. So 4.2. This comes after last week's flurry of earthquakes up here on the north side, going up into the Kermadec Islands, and some activity down south, down here, down by the X and the Dutch Sense logo south of Tasmania on the fracture zones to the south, where the middle has stayed somewhat quiet. Well, I mean, there's been small earthquakes. No 4.0 plus right in the middle here for a minute. So now you're moving right along the plate boundary. Let me show you where this is and where it came from. So here's the quake. You see the red line, obviously. We're moving down here a few days back. And, of course, we're moving up here in the Kermadec Islands. And in between the two, the plate boundary comes right down. This was the halfway point. I'm sure if we go in and find the previous earthquakes, I don't have them open right now. I'd have to open the New Zealand feed. Let's go find out. I'm just guessing that it's the halfway point, actually. It should be the halfway point. Let's go find out. New Zealand 0.0 and greater. Last whatever earthquakes, 150. Okay, this is taking us back halfway through the week. And let's look at the bigger. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. How could I even known? First of all, USGS leaving out quakes. I mean, come on. This earthquake struck on the 18th, right? Today, there's a 4.3 down in South New Zealand. USGS, where the hell are you? Ha! Anyway, July 18th, 4.3 down here on the south side of New Zealand. And here we are, July 18th, and a 4.2 gets reported. But it's the halfway point. They don't want you to see this halfway point thing, guys. They're really, really trying hard. The halfway point between the previous sets of 4s, and it's the exact middle point that just got hit between the 5 up north and the 4 down south. They're not reporting the 4 down south, so you don't know about it unless you tune into me or go check the New Zealand feed somehow. New Zealand feed. Yeah, they're like static little 2D page. Noticeable, unnoticeable. You know they mark 7.0 earthquakes as unnoticeable if they happen out in the ocean, right? Ha! All right, now let's go over and look at the United States. Let's get into this. The U.S., 5.0 over on the West Coast. This is nothing to scoff at. This means we're going to see new activity in between where the 5 and the 4 is down in Gulf of California. Look where the rings overlap for these. Here's our previous sets of 3s and greater, 3.6 and greater. So we really have 2 overlap points. 1, Mojave Desert to Ridgecrest. See that? Another spot is right up here, going north part of the valley, going over towards the east side of California, northeast side, northwest of Lake Tahoe. You could arguably say that it also goes down here north of the Bay Area, where this is kind of like an eyeball shape, right over the center, and that's the Sutter Buttes, right in the middle, that little splotch right there, that's a volcano right in the middle. Right in the middle of the valley, Sutter Buttes. But anyway, halfway points are going to get hit. Both of them are going to get hit. And most likely, it's going to be the biggers to the south, so that means Southern California, Ridgecrest, Mojave, as far east as East LA. Now, or east of LA. People were asking me about San Diego this past week. What happened? Where's our earthquake? Well, guys, something went on, but I don't know if you're going to know about what happened. Let's go down and show you. Down here in southwest Arizona, going into Southern California last night. So pretty much on the last day of the warning, this started. A bunch of hotspots appeared here, going around the Sentinel Plain again, all the way centered around Salton Sea in the deserts. This isn't the sunlight being detected, guys. This is fire signatures that the computer filters out. People tried to say in the past it was farmers burning their fields, back before we had the satellite feed in here on Google Earth. Now look where this series of hotspots went down to. They're still going on today, down here at the Pina Cate volcanic field, just south of the border. So I've got this warning going from right here to here, and all of a sudden, all this starts to happen all the way around, and you can see it's clearly clustered there. That was last night, marked in orange. Okay, these are the hotspots picked up by the weather satellite, and it filters them out. These are happening somewhere between the ground and up in space. And the satellite way up there looking down into the ionosphere, this could be from the ionosphere down to the ground, basically, these hotspots. Now look what else is going on. A series of hotspots has formed now, currently, in the past few hours, out in the middle of the Mojave Desert, surrounding a series of volcanoes that we all know about if you're a longtime viewer of mine. This is the Pisgah Crater location, Amboy Crater, and the Lavic Lake Volcanic Complex. Now let's go out and show you the volcano that's showing a hotspot. Here is a lava flow, goes back up to the crater up at the top. Look at that. A little graffiti writing in there. Somebody stacked some stone. There's Amboy Crater on the east side. Here's Pisgah Crater on the west side with its lava flows. Now this is also right here. This is the location where the biggest earthquake in California in the past 50 years struck. The Hector Mine earthquake, right here. So right here, where this dark-colored butte is, an old volcano, by the way, the Hector Mine earthquake struck back in 1999, 7.1 or 7.2. So now we have hotspots next to it at a volcano at a time where the plate is shifting and major fires are breaking out all the way across the West Coast. So I'm going to watch. It's not a coincidence that where the rings overlap, this is going on. And it's no exaggeration to tell you, that those rings overlap right there. Let's get again all the smaller earthquake. Look at it. The rings overlap right here between the pink and the lightish color. Let's go back and compare to the Mojave Desert. Here's the Mojave Desert. The rings are overlapping right here. That's a fulcrum point, a pressure point where the standing wave is currently traveling now, and it carries with it an electrical charge. That electrical charge shows up and the weather satellite picks it up like a fire. Now, fires are breaking out on the ground, and that's a whole different story with the plate shifting. So the rest of the quakes going down through Texas, back over through Oklahoma, into southern Missouri, the New Madrid seismic zone right at Arkansas, Lake Bull Shoals, and then over on the east coast down at Tennessee. All of these are along the edge of the North American craton, and earthquakes travel across the edge of the craton, going from the west coast over to the east coast in the course of a few days' time. And usually, the momentum, if you will, is maintained. So if we get 4s and 5s on the west coast, we get 4s over on the east coast. It's not that much loss of an energy drop to go down from 5 to 4 across the whole edge of the craton. So imagine my surprise yesterday when I tuned in to my own stream and I see a 4.2 earthquake reported right here on the U.S. side of the border, just north of Ohio, out here in the lake, Great Lake. One of the Great Lakes, Lake Erie. Now, it was a 4.2 quake. I click on it, and it's information from the Europeans giving us the info. USGS not reporting the quake. So I went and zoomed in on the area to go find what was there. People were talking about, the media had already talked about the quake. So the media is talking about a quake that the USGS isn't reporting. I just don't understand. But so they're talking about potential causes for the quake being salt mines. And I zoomed in on the area, and the location in question was right here next to where Google has the place mark for Lake Erie. It was right over here along the border. And I measured over to this, where I have all of our frack wells labeled right here. Not all of them, just a few of them. There's many more. I just mark a few where the pumping operation is. So we've got oil and gas right here going right down to the coast. And then over here on this side, over on the Canadian side, same thing. Out here in the fields, oil and gas. There's a lot of methane out in here. This is where the big methane geyser formed up to the north and bubbled out in that golf course, bubbling out like it was some kind of fountain. So the earthquake here, we've got to talk about it because it comes the day after a mystery blast happened over here on the coast again. Another one, just like the other one. There was another 3.9 experimental explosion out here yesterday. So it's not on today's feed. Again, you don't see anything there today. The 3.9 struck there yesterday. Now, wait a second. I just got to take you back to the last time this happened, on September 5th. The first mystery blast. There was something that happened right before it, guys. Up here in Indiana, right here at the Indiana border with Illinois, a 1953 oil field got struck by a 4.2 earthquake. 4.2 earthquake struck right here, then a 3.9 or a 4 experimental blast the next morning. Well, now we have a 4.2 earthquake out here and another 3.9 earthquake striking out here. Two extremely rare quakes. Indiana and Lake Erie right next to each other, both right next to pumping operations, both getting struck with 4s the day before experimental explosion. Please. Experimental. Dude, the only people who believe that are people who just aren't tuned in. You know, that I'm sorry, but it's just Occam's razor at this point. It can't be experimental blast from the Navy. They're covering for someone, apparently. Occam's razor, you know. Sorry. Not going to accept anything other than it's seismic, and they're trying to hide it for some reason. And the earthquakes that are striking in the middle of the craton the day before are a sign of pressure coming across. And then they get a quake out there in the Bermuda Triangle, basically, and they hide it as a blast because they don't want you, Joe Schmo out there, to see that there's a relation between earthquakes across the plate, because they said there wasn't. And they've printed it in printing, writing in books, and all kinds of stuff. And they look like the biggest blazing fools in the world. There's no way it could be experimental explosions over and over again like that now. No way. Not in a million years. Not going to convince me. I'm the one you need to convince. So, let's go over on the West Coast now and go over and just take a look. Let's look at the earthquakes in Washington and Oregon for the last 24 hours. Hey, guess what? Hold on. Let me make sure now. I've got the last day's feed turned on. 0.0 and greater from the USGS. Well, there's not a single quake. Oh, well. Whew. I can rest easy now. There's no quakes in the Pacific Northwest at all in 24 hours' time. Well, you know what? Let's go check the tremors. Go see if there's any vibrations. The plate shifted. Well, looks like yesterday it did. Yesterday there was 123 little vibrations as the plate is actually shifting in a slow slip, or a small slow slip. Let's call it a slow slip, as opposed to a fast slow slip. So there's 100 of them, and they're up here at Vancouver Island, Central Oregon, and over along the middle point of Sacramento Valley. 3 points along the Juan de Fuca. One, southern arm of the Juan de Fuca, comes right in, goes in along the San Andreas. The middle point of the Juan de Fuca, here. And the northern point of the Juan de Fuca, here. I can prove all that to you by showing you the USGS plate boundary map. Here, here, and here. And all 3 points are shifting, corresponding to the spots out in the ocean, but we're shifting on land. This is vibration down in the plate, as there's rubbing between this point and this point, or let's go back to the USGS map, between this and this. And up inside of North America, we get vibrations as the plate is shifting, and these are the tremors that we see here. But no earthquakes. So a tremor is a vibration as the plate is shifting. An earthquake is an actual break in the plate, an actual fracture in the fault somewhere. So the difference is huge. So no quakes. I don't know. How about over to the east? Well, wait. I mean, how could we go from a swarm of hundreds of earthquakes at Yellowstone down to 0? Same with Idaho. There's 2 earthquakes reported in Idaho. 2. Normally there might be dozens. I don't know, man. There's something up. That's weird. Lack of earthquakes across Yellowstone, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon. Who covers the earthquakes up here? Gee, I wonder. Isn't it the people who tried to get me shut down? The people who tried to get my fundraiser shut down, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Isn't it them? Aren't they responsible for covering it all up here? Oh, man, we're screwed. We're screwed. Dude, we're screwed. Now let's go down. Let's go down to California, where we have semi-equal spaced quakes going along the coast, along the San Andreas, going to geysers, Clear Lake volcano, going down here along the Hayward Fault, where it meets back up with the San Andreas, going along the creeping section of the San Andreas, and then going down to Parkfield and stopping again. Now, I should say we don't really stop. We jump off of the San Andreas and then jump over into the valley. You see how these earthquakes are over here on the south and east side of the valley as opposed to along the San Andreas. It would be better for me to show it to you on Google Earth. Show you where it jumps from and where it goes to. Why it does that. Oh, wait, we got 2 hotspots right there, too. Gee. Right here, look. 3. 2 in the valley and 1 right here where the jump across happens. So the earthquakes are coming down. We get right down to about here, and we're at a place called Parkfield. Now, right across from Parkfield over here at Coalinga are thousands and thousands of drill points, oil and gas. And the earthquakes jump off right there, and the same size quakes tend to strike down at the southeast tip of the valley. Why? Well, let's go down to where the 1.4 is and the 0.8. Here, I can pull the coordinates for the 1.4. That might make it a little easier. Maricopa, California, but look, there's oil wells down here at the south side too.
So we're going along a perforation point. It's jumping off the San Andreas, this seismic flow, and it's going across from there, right where I'm just going from, and where the hotspot is. And we go right down to here. You might say, oh, well, what's there? Well, there's a solar farm right there, of course. But out across all these fields are a bunch of oil pumping operations that just go right through the farmers' fields. So this is not for irrigation purposes. These are for oil and gas. And the way we know that is they go out here into the desert to tanks and pumps and jacks and pipelines. And this is low. Even though there's like 100 right there, there's tens of thousands right here. All of this. Let me show you. They look like ants on the ground. Now, why does it matter? Here's the San Andreas. San Andreas right here, guys. Let's trace it back. San Andreas, the diagonal line in the mountains, going back up this way. All the drill points start up here where our hotspot is, basically. Jumping off the San Andreas hotspot, going over to tens of thousands of drill points, begin right here. And then all the drill points mimic the San Andreas all the way down it, right up to it, and down around in a U shape or a J shape down through the south tip of the valley. And the earthquakes come down, jump over, go down to the south tip of the valley that's drilled. It's like an avenue for it to go. It bypasses this point of the San Andreas usually. Now, if a big push is coming down, we'll see it go, the flow go through the valley like I just told you, but you'll also see it go out here to Lompoc, over here to off the coast of, well, Ventura, and then down to North LA. Now, guess what's here, here, and here? Oil rigs. Offshore oil rigs here and here. And going out to the sea, out at Ventura and North LA. Bunch of oil pumping operations. And that's where the earthquakes go to. So whether it goes through the valley, it seeks out the oil pumping operations. Or if it's a big enough push, it comes down and jumps to the drill points, which then aid for the flow to go down to Southern California. Either way, it's going to the drill points and then recombining back down here in Southern California. Now, when it spreads out across the valley, guess who else gets hit? The spot I just told you about. The spot that I've been talking about since the start of the update that has the hot spots out in there right now. All of this. The flow goes out to the Mojave and then goes down to Salton Sea. Salton Sea. Now, the reason I warned, by the way, the reason I warned this past week San Diego is because energy was coming around Lompoc, going out past Santa Cruz and down this way. It was flowing out and around. And something did happen. Something did happen. People say, oh, the earthquake didn't hit like you said, Dutch. Oh, really? Want to bet? Go ask frickin' Lucy Jones. Oh, that's right. It must have been a sonic boom. That's right. That's right. Something did hit. Must have been a sonic boom. She said must have. I said, dude, we can do must haves now? Awesome. Guess what this one out of here must have been? This 3 out here in Arizona. Must have been Bubba out there with his tannerite doing target practice in the desert. Wait, it's not an explosion. Never mind. Never mind. What is out here in the middle of Arizona? Oh, nothing too big. Here's the earthquake and a place called the San Francisco Volcanic Center. I got a story to tell you about this place. So take a look at it. Here's a volcanic field. It's huge. It's marked with just dozens of cones, spatter cones. Look at them. Look how many there are. Old, young, some very old, some pretty young, younger lava flows, older lava flows, the whole bit. Okay. A few years ago, I want to say 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, I'm watching the weather satellite for weather. And I'm looking out at the West Coast for weather. This is back when I used to cover weather more. And I just happened to catch out of the corner of my eye, really out of the corner of the frame of the satellite, that there was something at sunrise over here that was being illuminated coming from from the east side of over here. And it was coming up, going out. It was a clear day, clear morning, but something only coming from this spot. That's what drew my eye to it. And it was blowing up and out this way. And then by the time it got over here, it was vaporizing. So it wasn't smoke, obviously. I mean, vaporizing, steam of some kind, moisture. So I make a video And I show it. I mean, I show the satellite feed. I'm not, talking about it. I didn't even say a word in the video. I just show it, and in the title it says, steam plume from the east side of San Francisco volcanic field. So I post the video, and within a few hours, the whole mainstream media, the National Park Service, everybody shit themselves, and they denied it. They tried to say it was a control burn from the other side of Flagstaff down here. They tried to say there was a control burn going on down here, and I must be, this is what reminded me of the must be, I must be seeing smoke from the... Now, my video showing, obviously, it's not smoke, and it's coming from over here. The National Park Service weighs in, and they said they had some rangers out there that morning, just by chance, and they didn't see anything. They were looking, but they didn't see anything. And I said, and it's in the story, the National Park Service press release, that they were out there looking. And I thought, wait a second, what were they looking for? Because I had put out my video that late morning to afternoon. They couldn't have known to look for anything until at least that evening. So how could they have been out there in the morning? Look, what were they out there looking for? Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this story now is here's a new earthquake on the west side of the volcanic center, which, by the way, they said would never erupt again. And then I called them out in a video. You can go watch my video where the mainstream media said it would never erupt again. And they said, well, it will erupt again, but no time soon. It's not extinct. They tried to pass it off that it would never erupt again in the stories. They were worried about tourist bucks going away. I get it. Anyway, we got a 3.0 earthquake. It's the biggest one of the bunch of the whole West Coast so far, going down across over to Arizona. And it's on the same day that we get this down here to the south. All these hotspots. Not tens of thousands. 1,000 hotspots. 1,000 hotspots across this whole area. And now they're falling off the feed. They're over 24 hours old. But come on, look what's going on down in Mexico now. Do you think the Mexican desert's burning? The sandy deserts of Mexico. Here, let's zoom in and go see this insane vegetation that's going to be... It's like every 50 feet there's a tree. Not even a tree, like sagebrush. At Pinacate, it is literally just volcanic fields. So I'm going to tell you right now, the plate is shifting. We got the earthquake down south. They tried to pass it off as a sonic boom. We got an earthquake over here on the East Coast. They straight up ignored it. Straight up deleted it, whatever, over at the pumping operations over at Lake Erie. So a flow is going across the plate. A new 5 has now struck here, right up at where the San Andreas comes into California. That means a new push is going to be coming down to the south, and we should see something strike down here in Southern California, down by Salton Sea again, somewhere very close in between Ridgecrest and Salton Sea. Now that puts us right in the middle of the Mojave Desert, doesn't it? Ridgecrest is here. Salton Sea is down here. What's the halfway point between the two? Let's go back up and show you, just in case you don't know, where this is. Pisgah Crater, the Lavic Lake Volcanic Complex, Amboy Crater, and such, where the hot spots are. So I'm going to warn you right now to watch in the Mojave, anywhere from Ridgecrest all the way down to Salton Sea. But I'm going to say the center point should be the spot to get hit with the new 5. So does it matter? Well, it matters if I'm off by a little bit. It hits down at Salton Sea and everybody feels it. It won't matter to anybody if it strikes out in the middle of the Mojave, and it'll matter to a bunch of people up here at Ridgecrest. Now that's a 200-mile stretch. Let's measure it. Ridgecrest, right here. 204. 204 mile, where the center of that is right in the Mojave. Now, I'm looking over just a little bit. I mean, we really would go over to here, but you see where the middle point is. The flow does not stop. There is a flow that goes across the North American craton. There is a flow that goes across every craton and every plate. And it all originates from where our deep earthquakes are upwelling that pressure up from the underside of the plate up into the plate. So think of a lever arm on the underside of the plate. And then you pull on it. And it pulls up, or it pushes up on the underside of a piece of stone. And that piece of stone that you're leveraging up on the underside of has cracks in it. Where do you think the leveraging action is going to go to first. Right? You've got a lever. You've inserted it on the underside of the plate here. You're pulling down on the lever. The lever's pushing up on the underside of the plate. And there's cracks in the plate. Where is the energy going to go? It's going to go to the cracks in the plate. And it's going to go to the biggest cracks in the plate first as a path of least resistance. And then that leverage action that you're doing on the underside will spread out and away across the whole mass of whatever you're trying to lift. And if it's uneven, it will spread unevenly. If it's got a path out, it will escape out. This pressure or force, this leverage action that I'm talking about. Hey, look, 2 new earthquakes just struck over here at the Chile-Bolivia border region. One a 4.5, the other a 4.6. They're 30 minutes apart, side by side. Let's go take a look. Why not? Hardly ever down in good old Bolivia. Hey, yeah, you guys want to go to Bolivia? Hey, man, you want to talk about a country nobody thinks about. You never even hear about it. Same with the others further down to the south. You never hear about them. Maybe that would be the place to move. Place you never hear about. I'm considering other countries. I am. Not joking. I don't feel welcome in the U.S. I'm not kidding. Paraguay, Uruguay, that's their names. Never think about them, never hear about them. Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay. Warm year-round. All right. Yeah, no, I'm serious. I feel unwelcome here in the U.S. I think that if I went to another country, I might actually have better luck. Laguna Jeucota. I've never heard of it, but let's just go check it out. 2 small, youthful-looking Mars are located in the central altiplano of Bolivia. Let's go take a look. There they are. Yeah, those are relatively young looking. I don't see any lava flows coming off of them, though. What? No, wait. Is this it? This is it. That's it right there. Where's the other one? Here's the older ones all the way around it. This. These are all volcanoes all the way around it. Look how they don't have them marked. Isn't that great? Ha! They don't have them marked. The only one they have marked is that one. Look at these. Look at all these lava flows on these old volcanoes here. This one, and the way you know it for certain 100%, we could trace it back to the top of the butte right here, the old Tuftage up on top. Tuftage up on top, lava flow out and around it. This looks like it formed underwater, though. Hold on. Wait. How could that be? Obviously, this was all a great inland ocean at some point. The desert that's here now was filled with water at some point in the past few million years. Oh, man, I love stumbling upon stuff like that. Let's go away from there and get back to the quakes in general. So, in general, what we would expect to happen after deep earthquakes has taken place. A spread of 5s and a few 6s. There's been 4 6s in the last week or so. So, first 3 6s hit on the day the X-class flare arrived. Now here we are, and on the day or of the day that the minor G1 solar storm arrives, a new 6.1 hit, 5.0 along the west coast, equal spaced 4s in between the 6s, by the way. Take a look at that. It's a stepping stone path going down from United States all the way into South America. And a spread going over to the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which I really haven't even addressed, other than to tell you the halfway point between the two X's has been filled in by a 5.3. Europe, we could quickly recap on Europe, which is just a spread of quakes going across where we would expect Iran, Iraq, Turkey, and over to Crete into Greece. I think Greece is my big strikeout for this past week. If you were to ask me on one that I really feel like I missed, I mean, Southern California, I don't feel like I missed it. You get a sonic boom in there and they start talking about this must-have crap, whatever, man. But Greece, I had warned for near 6.0, 5.9, and nothing. Nothing in the spot at all. Nothing. Instead, deep earthquake below Italy, and central Italy started to swarm, but no 6 or upper 5, where all 3 sets of rings overlap. All 3 sets of rings overlap on my warned area. Now look what started to happen today. A new push is coming in. A 4.9 has just been reported in Iraq. Or no, Syria. Syria? I thought that was Iraq. Oh, no, it is. That's Syria. Okay, sorry. Whoops. Whoopsie. Let's go pull the coordinates and go look in Syria and see what's there. It's not like I'm talking about Iraq or Syria very much. But we need to go see if anything of significance is nearby, just in case. Okay, looks... what? I don't know what I'm looking at here. I could tell you what I think I might be looking at here, but it would include something like this. Guys, we're looking at something here. Hashtag Tartaria. Now, let's back it out and take a greater look at the region and see if there's anything else nearby. Oh, unnamed volcanic field. Unnamed now. From the Smithsonian, unnamed. Does that mean I get to name it? A group of 11 volcanoes last active in the mid-upper Pleistocene. Well, if it's unnamed, we're going to call it Dutchlandia. The Dutchlandia Volcanic Complex. Unnamed. Here it is. Wow, look at that low-resolution imagery. Do you think they got a street-level view in Syria? Somebody get out there with the Google car. Oh, man. It really is. And it really is. It's one of the only unnames there. There's another unnamed... No, wait. There's 2 more unnames? What's up with that? Group of 8 mid-Pleistocene volcanoes. Why is nobody naming these out here? 34 mid-Pleistocene volcanoes. What? 34? Oh, wow. Look. Here's the lava flow. But it's covered in sand. Do you see it? Wow. Wow, that's old. 34 of them. How do they even find them? Crying out loud. Yeah, oh. That's pretty easy to find. Somebody doing some farming inside of the volcanic crater. Is that Corey? What the heck? Completely empty. Dude, it's like an ancient town or something. What? I'm not kidding. Look. It's like covered in sand and buried. Half the place is buried. Look at it. Wow. It doesn't even have a name on it. Well, Homs. It's out here in the south of Palmyra. Out here in the desert. There's some kind of... I don't know. But you just saw it. So let's get on out of there. You know what? I think now is probably a good time to wrap it up. Let's just go ahead and tell you to have an earthquake plan and be prepared just in case you don't want to end up like the people of Tartaria. Okay? And what happened to them? I don't know. They're gone and nobody can find them. They can't even find their skeletons. So be prepared for that. I guess that's the ultimate SHTF. All right. On that note, now seriously now, you need to have an emergency kit. Now, that's not going to get you through a complete disaster, but it certainly will take the edge off. So if you have a change of clothes, set of shoes, first aid, sanitation, a little food and water, nothing major, but enough you can put into your backpack or a bag, that's a good idea. Shouldn't cost you much. You should already have a change of clothes and extra set of shoes, and you should already have some bandages and other first aid. And the last year and a half should have taught you about having food and water available. You all learned a lesson on toilet paper. I don't know if you learned the lesson on food and water, but it's a good idea to have a little bit of that stuff on hand, just in case. Now, when it comes to seismic activity, I'm going to be doing a new forecast starting tomorrow. So tomorrow will mark the end of my previous 7-day forecast, which ends tonight at midnight. And tomorrow will begin the new forecast. So I'm going to wait and see. We're going to wait for the next 12 hours, and we'll get it together. But Southern California, man, that's the one that really gets me, because sonic boom in a way, I mean, you look, if a sonic boom gets reported in a spot where I issue an earthquake warning, I'm just beside myself and wondering how often that can happen before other people will start, because it's not the first time, guys. Okay? It's like maybe it hasn't happened 10 times yet, but it certainly has happened over 5 times where I issue a warning for an earthquake somewhere in the continental United States. It hits, and they call it a sonic boom. Enough to where I could forecast sonic booms. We joked about this previously, that, okay, after like the 3rd or 4th time, I can forecast sonic booms. Yeah, man. I can also forecast mistakes. Yeah. That's the ticket. And on that note, you guys have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night. It's just a short update. Nothing major. Something I can go upload to YouTube. Say hi to everybody with. A new 5 hit over on the West Coast. That means a new 5 is most likely coming down into Southern California. And I already showed you where the hotspots are right now. Hotspots tend to show up at the spots before earthquakes show up. Electromagnetic hotspots picked up by the weather satellite showed up many times now before extreme seismic activity, or not extreme, but a major increase in seismic activity in that area where the hotspots previously were. Now, the fires are another video entirely. And I mean, I could spend probably 45 minutes talking about the fires alone out on the West Coast. Now, people talk about how the fires happen every year out there. That's fine. But what if I told you that the fires may be being influenced by seismic activity, and they show up more in fire season because it's dry? And for the rest of the season, you get small outbreaks of hotspots and fires that don't spread as much. And we see the hotspots develop in areas where the plate is shifting majorly, and we see the fires develop where the hotspots are. We see earthquakes develop where the fires and hotspots are. So, for instance, over on the West Coast, let's just take a look. Let's take a quick look. We don't have to take too long, but I do want to just let you see the amount of smoke that we're dealing with, for instance, here. So here's 200 images, and you can even see the haze this morning. All of this is smoke from the previous night's fire. And then today, it's starting to flare up now, especially over in Oregon. Here. And to get a better view on it, let's just go over to Oregon. Let's go over to here. Well, the red glowing spots are where the fire is being actually seen visibly by the satellite. You can see at night it's glowing. And big fires just south of Lake Tahoe now, where the earthquake was. Now, hold up. Hold up, everybody. Big fires now south of Lake Tahoe. Now, look, man, I told you I could spend 45 minutes talking about the fires. Well, I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about this. Here is Lake Tahoe. Here is Pyramid Lake. And you see where this red dot is right there? All of this, something like 20,000 acres, just burned a few days ago. Okay? Now, look. The same size, the same shape on the south side of this. This giant oval shape I've contended for years now is a caldera, and it's got folded basins on both sides, Lake Tahoe and Pyramid Lake. It's got geothermal fields on both sides. It's lined with volcanoes and gets hit with earthquakes all the way around this thing. And hotspots and fires go around this thing. Now, right here, right down here, is where the 6 just hit last week. So, you would have to tell me that it's just chance coincidence that we have a huge fire outbreak days after our 6 took place here. That it's just chance coincidence that that's there, right there, of all the places. You would have to try and convince me of that. Good luck, because again, I'm not listening to the denials anymore. I can't take you serious. Too many denials will lead to me not being able to take any denial seriously. That's just what I'm saying. And this is one where I just have to say it's probably related to seismic. The fires in California may be majority related to seismic overall. Wouldn't that just be the wildest thing to ever learn? And that fire season is really dictated by heat, of course, and plate shifting. And storms to some extent, maybe, in isolated areas where lightning or something would strike. But of course, human activity can cause fires. I'm not saying it can't, but I'm just saying, you get a big fire like that, 20,000 acres in a day, pops up suddenly out of nowhere, 20,000 acres, right by where the 6 hit. You cannot ignore it. It's happened too many times now. And if you do ignore it, you're a dismissive type person. You're being intentionally ignorant, like ignoring something on purpose. Ignorance. All right. Anything else to talk about? Well, that's enough for me. Now I can save this as a video and get it out. I'm going to put it over on YouTube for people to watch back. Peace out.